we are capable of expelling Americans. As you know, during the last election, we removed undesirable Americans and Canadians and British from Uganda. Even a government like the one of Amin and much more unstable governments around the world have expelled Americans. But we don't want to take that route because we think it will not be helpful.
Renowned for not mincing his words, government spokesperson Ofwono Opondo says Uganda can't exist without America's aid.
First of all, we appreciate their support. But Uganda can run without American money. Uganda can run without donor money, provided there's internal discipline and prioritization. Americans are simply arrogant because they think that their military power and economic might is what should rule the world.
Opondo's response follows reports of U.S. travel restrictions against Ugandan officials accused of human rights violations.
As me, I'm not interested in going to the United States. I'm not interested in going to Europe whatsoever. I'm very comfortable to stay in Uganda. Foreigners, including American government, is secondary, important as they may be.
However, in response, the executive director of the Foundation for Human Rights Initiative, Dr. Livingstone Sewanyana, cautioned the government of Uganda that the situation could worsen for Ugandans unless mistakes are corrected.
They can impose sanctions as one of the consequences of human rights violations, especially if they are flagrant violations of human rights. Restrictions on travel can also be imposed. Restrictions on external funding can also be imposed.
And you've been in Uganda, you need to know how Museveni thinks and rates America. One time he told a group of soldiers that if you want to be comfortable in government, you need to create a relationship with America, UK, South Africa, and Tanzania. Those are the 4 countries that Museveni chose to speak about.
However, the restrictions known to access American visas does not mention names of the alleged officials.
This action by the US government is no different from a kangaroo court, and yet the government of the US claims that they are a law-abiding government. If would have expected, at the very least, for them to formally write to the government of Uganda and say, we have issues with the following officers. Can you carry out investigation and let us know?
Travel restrictions are symbolic, but symbolic as they are, they send a note to governments, and I know Ugandan government may pretend, but they are taking a note that consistently America is saying you are not running that country properly.
So it's always advisable that the state acts immediately to avoid further sanctions, further restrictions, further embargoes that can hurt adversely the relationship and cause unnecessary suffering, like what we have seen with the sanctions against Venezuela, sanctions against Iran, sanctions against Nicaragua.
Earlier, the U.S. government cited the former Inspector General of Police, General Kale Kayihura, as well as several members of the armed forces. On 18th November 2020, the arrest of former presidential candidate Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu sparked off a violent riot in the country, leading to the death of about 54 people. In addition, there had been concerns about dozens of Ugandans abducted by security officials.
We challenge the US government to disclose the names of these individuals, the specific incidences.
In response, Internal Affairs Minister General Jeje Odong told Parliament this week that the missing Ugandans could instead be hiding in fear of being arrested. Jingo Francis, NTV, Weekend Edition.